Income does not move the way most people imagine. It doesn't move in straight lines. It doesn't move in steps. And it definitely doesn't move in proportion to effort. Income moves the way currents move, the way traffic moves, the way information moves. It moves through channels. And the real question behind every income system is not how much work is being done, but how well does movement occur. This is what flow means in the context of income. Flow is the path energy follows as it changes forms inside a system, where attention becomes interest, where interest becomes trust, where trust becomes action, where action becomes value, where value becomes revenue, where revenue becomes reinvestment. Flow is not activity. Flow is transfer. A system can be extremely active and almost completely stagnant. Posts going out, emails sending, calls happening, offers running. But if attention is not converting into trust, and trust is not converting into decisions, and decisions are not converting into leverage, then the system is not flowing. It is circulating effort inside a closed loop. This is why two businesses can look identical on the surface and perform radically differently underneath. Same niche, same tools, same team size, same content volume. One compounds, the other plateaus, not because one works harder, but because one moves energy with less resistance. Flow design is the discipline of reducing resistance across the entire path income must travel. Not at one point, not in one funnel. Across the whole system. Every income system, no matter how complex, is built from the same basic movements: discovery, engagement, conversion, delivery, retention, distribution, reinvestment. These are not departments. They are transitions. And transitions are where systems either accelerate or decay. Because every transition is a place where energy must change state. From unknown to noticed. From noticed to considered. From considered to chosen. From chosen to delivered. From delivered to repeated. From repeated to amplified. Each of those shifts requires clarity, timing, and structure. When those are present, movement feels natural. When they are not, movement feels forced. And whenever you feel like you are forcing your system to work, you are compensating for broken flow. Manual follow-ups. Constant explaining. Urgency tactics. Endless optimization. Emotional selling. These are not growth strategies. They are energy injections into systems that cannot move on their own. Healthy flow does not need to be pushed. It pulls. It pulls attention forward. It pulls people deeper. It pulls value into visibility. It pulls decisions into simplicity. This is why architecture matters more than tactics. Tactics create motion at a point. Flow design determines whether that motion continues. And this is where most income systems quietly fail. They are designed around activities instead of movement. What content should I post? What funnel should I build? What offer should I launch? But flow-based thinking asks different questions. Where does attention go after it lands? Where does trust go after it forms? Where does demand go after it appears? Where does revenue go after it's collected? And most importantly, where does energy get stuck? Because stuck energy does not disappear. It turns into friction, confusion, drop-off, burnout, plateaus. Let's make this tangible. If your content grows but sales don't, energy is stuck between engagement and conversion. If sales happen but repeat, buyers don't form, energy is stuck between delivery and retention. If retention exists, but growth doesn't compound, energy is stuck between value and distribution. If revenue comes in, but nothing scales, energy is stuck between income and reinvestment. These are not motivation problems. They are flow blockages. And flow blockages cannot be solved by doing more at the surface. They are solved by redesigning the channels underneath. This is why adding effort to a poor flow system feels like dragging water uphill. More posts, less reach. More calls, lower close rates. More offers, weaker responses. More hours, slower progress. The system is dissipating energy faster than it moves it. Good flow design does the opposite. It allows small inputs to travel far. One idea becomes many impressions. One asset becomes many conversions. One relationship becomes many referrals. One decision becomes many outcomes, not because it's clever, but because the system keeps energy alive long enough to transform again. This is also why leverage only works when flow exists. Leverage multiplies movement, but it cannot create it. If energy does not already move cleanly, leverage only magnifies disorder. More traffic to a confusing system creates more confusion. More leads into a weak offer creates more resistance. More content into a scattered ecosystem creates more noise. Flow always comes before scale, because scale is not growth. Scale is the extension of movement, and you cannot extend what does not travel. So flow design begins with a different mindset. Not how do I grow this, but how does energy move here? Where does it slow? Where does it leak? Where does it require translation? Where does it rely on me? Because wherever it relies on you, flow is already compromised. Not because you are involved, but because systems should carry energy better than humans can. Humans create direction. Systems sustain motion. This is the shift we are making in this arc. From building things to designing movement, from assembling parts to shaping currents, from chasing outputs to structuring flow. Because income does not come from effort. It comes from what effort is allowed to become, and that is always a design question. Not a hustle one,